These documents were filed on April the 12th, 2022, in the Supreme Court of the State of New York. Deborah Hines, the plaintiff, and as you can see, Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York Incorporated, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, and John and Jane Doe's are the defendants. These documents were filed by the governing body's attorneys located in New York City in response to Deborah Hines' lawsuit regarding her rape while serving at Bethel.
A plaintiff's claims against the governing body for intentional infliction of emotional distress and sexual abuse and battery must be dismissed.
So the governing body's defense attorney is asking for the case to be dismissed.
Plaintiff argues that her claims for intentional infliction of emotion distress should not be dismissed because the governing body ratified Briggs' sexual abuse of plaintiff by failing to discipline Briggs and by elevating Briggs to the position of elder despite admitting to sexually abusing plaintiff.
Deborah Hines, by means of her attorney, is saying that her case should not be dismissed because the governing body did not discipline Briggs, her stepfather. In fact, they elevated him to the position of an elder in the congregation after he admitted to sexually abusing her. Allegedly, according to the court documents.
Plaintiff also argues that the governing body allowed plaintiff to continue sleeping in the same room as Briggs, where it permitted him unfettered access to plaintiff for the purpose of sexually abusing her. Plaintiff's arguments must be rejected. The complaint alleges that, allowing her report to Mr. Barr.
So here's a picture of Brother Barr. I dealt with him on several occasions throughout my 10 years at Bethel, and he was always a very nice guy. Always came across as being sincere.
A former member of the governing body, plaintiff was removed from her mother and stepfather's room at Bethel.
So according to this, Deborah received some action after she spoke to Brother Barr. She was removed to another room. I did a video on Deborah's original complaint, and it's very shocking because in that you'll find that not only was he raping her, he was also urinating in her mouth. Just think, they had a guy like R. Kelly at Bethel. These are all the things that she alleged in the original court complaint documents.
Plaintiff further argues that she has alleged facts to support ratification of her claim for sexual abuse and battery by pleading that, after plaintiff reported Briggs' abuse, the governing body elevated Briggs to the position of elder, and the governing body failed to report the abuse to law enforcement.
I've spoken with current and former Jehovah Witnesses that are very upset that Michael Pencava and Colin Scott were convicted for covering up or not reporting child abuse of a 6-year-old girl. And oh yeah, did I mention they were 2 elders in the congregation? Michael Pencava was a school teacher for 35 years. You know he knew better. So it's really not shocking here where Deborah alleges that the governing body did not call the police to report her abuse. The funny thing about this case, I know we harp on the 2-witness rule, but in this case, there appears to have been 2 witnesses and they still did not report it to the police. So I think that's just an excuse. I think they're more concerned about bringing reproach on Jehovah's name, supposedly. And in doing that, the child always become collateral damage. They ruin these children for life. See, I'm not worried about Jehovah. I'm worried about these children because these children cannot protect themselves. I think if Jehovah created the world, he should be able to protect his own name. And on a deeper level, we have to wonder why Jehovah allowed the poor girl to suffer for so many years being molested. And if you consider the Pencava and Scott case, where was Jehovah when that poor little 6-year-old girl was being molested for 12 long years? Something is not adding up.
Plaintiff's argument fails because I. Ecclesiastical appointments, guidance and direction that amount to ecumenical functions, and are not cognizable under the CVA, C.E a supra, and I. There is no allegation in the complaint that any member of the governing body, past or present, was the mandated reporter, obliged to report an allegation of sexual abuse to law enforcement.
So are we saying here that the governing body does not have to report child abuse because they fall under clergy privilege? I don't know about you, but all those book studies talking about the clergy of Christendom, clergy this, clergy that, or maybe I'm just reading it wrong because I'm sure they wouldn't use clergy for convenience to not report child abuse. Let's keep in mind that these documents are from the governing body's attorney.
Plaintiff argues that the governing body's willful and wanton disregard for safety is evidenced by he continued authority granted to an adult suspected to be a child abuser to live in such close quarters with children in an unsupervised context. Play stop. At 25. Yet, Briggs' access to plaintiff was a result of his role as her stepfather, not from any action or failure to act by any of the members of the governing body.
Notice this last sentence and how the organization, the governing body, speaks with such authority.
Plaintiff's claims for punitive damages against the governing body must be dismissed.
Where is the love?